Coming in at number 5, we have Deadites from the Evil Dead. You didn't have to wait too long, I'm sure everyone's happy the Deadites have a spot on our list. Released in 1981 and directed by Sam Raimi, The Evil Dead is a supernatural horror movie starring the likes of Bruce Campbell, Ellen Sandweiss, Richard Demeninka, and Bestie Baker, with it following 5 college students vacationing in an isolated cabin who unintentionally release a legion of demons and spirits after discovering an audio tape. Each of the friends begin to suffer from demonic possession, forcing the 5th member, Ash Williams, to survive the onslaught of demons. Now, the Deadites are a species of parasitic demons that seek to possess humans and the souls of living creatures. Their signature power is possession, with them also possessing enhanced strength, levitation, superhuman durability, shape-shifting, and hive mind. They are terribly difficult to kill, with there being no real way to destroy a Deadite. However, there are a few options, including dismemberment. They also have weaknesses to the power of love, sunlight, and specific objects such as Kandarian dagger. Ash has a nightmare of a time against these demonic beasts. I certainly wouldn't want to face up against them. Before we jump into number 4, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, it really helps us out a lot. Coming in at number 4, we have Mammon from Constantine. Constantine seems to be a fan favorite amongst many, with the movie being released in 2005 and directed by Francis Lawrence. Constantine stars the likes of Keanu Reeves, Rachel Weisz, Shia LaBeouf, and Tilda Swinton, with it being based on the DC comic Hellblazer. The movie itself follows John Constantine, a cynic with the ability to communicate with half angels and half demons in their true form. He spends his days exorcising demons back to hell to earn favor with heaven. Now, one of the big baddies of the movie is Mammon, who is of course Lucifer's son. He attempts to create his own kingdom on Earth by breaking onto the human plane. However, he is ultimately unsuccessful. His grand plan was to invade Earth with his army of demons and use it as his own personal kingdom. However, this doesn't become a reality when John Constantine gets in the way and summons Lucifer. In appearance, Mammon is pretty damn terrifying, looking like a muscular red bald humanoid with him possessing incredible power. In the movie, he is the High Prince of the 7 Princes of Hell, with only Satan being stronger than him. He can possess others, spread chaos with a rank of demons who are incredibly loyal under his rule. This is one demon you would not want to cross. Coming in at number 3, we have the Cenobites from Hellraiser. The Cenobites are arguably some of the scariest demons to behold, but also the ones we can't help but love. Released in 1987 and directed by Clive Barker and based on the novella The Hellbound Heart, Hellraiser stars the likes of Andrew Robinson, Claire Higgins, and Ashley Lawrence, with the movie involving a mystical puzzle box which summons the Cenobites, a group of extra-dimensional beings who cannot differentiate between pain and pleasure. To quote the Hell Priest Pinhead, they are the explorers in the further regions of experience, demons to some, angels to others. They have the ability to enter Earth's reality through a schism in time and space, which is typically opened and closed via the puzzle box, also known as the Lament configuration. Now, they vary in numbers and appearance, with them appearing in leather garments and with some sort of disfiguration or torture device. They suffer horrific mutations with piercings and fetishistic clothing. To quote Clive Barker in The Hellbound Heart, why then was he so distressed to set eyes upon them? Was it the scars that covered every inch of their bodies, the flesh cosmetically punctured and sliced and infibulated, then dusted down with ash? Was it the smell of vanilla they brought with them, the sweetness of which did little to disguise the stench beneath? Now, depending on the Cenobite, their abilities vary, but they do share a few common standards. When summoned, they appear wherever they wish to. They also appear to be telekinetic to some degree and can summon forth chains from the shadows. They also possess great strength, resistance to damage, as well as supernatural empathy. They are definitely demons to be feared, depending on what you are seeking. Coming in at number 2, we have Valak from The Conjuring 2. Now, perhaps an unpopular opinion, but The Conjuring 2 is actually my favorite Conjuring movie. I think it's just superior in every way, probably because it's set in the UK. But also because Valak is one of the reasons it's so damn terrifying. Released in 2016 and directed by James Wan, The Conjuring 2 sees Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson return as Lorraine and Ed Warren, paranormal investigators and ghost hunters who head to England to assist the Hodgson family, who are experiencing demonic activity inside of their Enfield home in 1977. The case is more famously known as the Enfield Poltergeist. The main antagonist of the movie is of course Valak, the fallen angel who was banished from heavens eons ago. Now, Valak first appeared in The Conjuring 2 during a seance to determine whether or not the demon was responsible for the murders in the Amityville home. The demon is here now though and has latched itself onto the Warrens, with it plaguing Lorraine with visions of her husband's potential death. Now, as we know, the Warrens head to the Hodgson family home after their younger daughter Janet seemingly becomes possessed by Bill Wilkins, the previous owner of the home. However, Bill isn't the only one there. Valak is also there, and at one point takes on the form of the Crooked Man, man, a scene which absolutely terrified everyone. We soon discover though that Bill Wilkins posed no harm to the family and was in fact being controlled by Valak, who faces off against Lorraine Warren in an epic battle, successfully condemning her back to hell. As we know though, this isn't the last time we see Valak, who appears again in the movie The Nun, a prequel of sorts to The Conjuring, and a waste of everyone's time. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have Pazuzu from The Exorcist. Pazuzu is the main antagonist of both the book and the movie The Exorcist, and arguably one of the most feared demons in movie history. Released in 1973 and directed by William Friedkin, The Exorcist is a supernatural horror movie based on the novel of the same name written by William Peter Blatty in 1971. At this point, we've discussed this movie into the ground, but it is a classic and rightfully deserves a place on our list. Starring the likes of Ellen Burstyn, Max von Sydow, Linda Blair, and Lee J. Cobb, The Exorcist follows the demonic possession of Regan McNeil, a young girl who inadvertently summons a demon after playing with a Ouija board, resulting in her mother contacting 2 Catholic priests to save her daughter. Now, the demon residing inside of Regan is Pazuzu, who is considered in this story to be the king of demons, and depicted as a combination of animal and human parts, with a right hand that points upwards and its left hand pointing downwards. This is depicted a couple of times throughout the movie. Now, while the majority of the movie deals with Regan's demonic possession and the effects it has on her and her body, we rarely see Pazuzu, if at all, other than as a structure in a rack and as a face during one of the exorcisms. He is, however, more notable in the sequel, Exorcist II: The Heretic, with him being named as the demon who possessed Regan, whereas in the first movie he was never named. The demon, as we all know, was relentless through the movie, with Regan vomiting pea soup, being tormented, levitating, and even impaling herself with a crucifix. However, good overcomes evil, with the demon being banished from her body. However, it does come at a cost. I just won't ruin it for those who haven't seen it, but at this point everyone's seen it. And if you haven't, what are you doing with your life? Coming in at number 5, we have the Lumia from Drag Me to Hell. Now, Drag Me to Hell is a movie that divided viewers upon its initial release, but those who didn't appreciate it clearly aren't fans of the legend that is Sam Raimi. Released in 2009 and directed by Raimi, Drag Me to Hell is a supernatural horror movie that follows Christine Brown, a bank loan officer who has a curse placed on her by an old woman who she refused to extend a mortgage. Christine is subjected to 3 days of escalating torment, after which time she'll be plunged into the depths of hell. Scary stuff. No one wants that. Now, the demon in the movie, the Lumia, is absolutely terrifying and one truly powerful demon that you do not want to mess with. Not to mention, it has a wicked sense of humor and not in a fun way. The curse placed on Christine includes the torment from the Lumia, a goat-like demon that is conjured during a seance. The Lumia torments her throughout the duration of the movie, with the one goal being to drag her to hell to suffer for eternity. Not to mention, the hell Christine endures throughout the movie is horrific, whether it being the elderly woman sucking on her chin or a swarm of bugs. It's hell on earth until it isn't, which is a hint to the end of the movie. But watch it to find out. I want to go to hell. I'll see her there. Before we jump into number 4, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, it really helps us out a lot. Coming in at number 4, we have Abalam from The Last Exorcism. The first time I watched The Last Exorcism, I remember being truly terrified, with it being one of the most effective exorcism movies I had seen in a long time. Then they sadly came out with a sequel and we all just stopped discussing it, which was probably for the best. Released in 2010 and directed by Daniel Stam, The Last Exorcism is a found footage supernatural horror starring the likes of Patrick Fabian, Ashley Bell, Iris Barr, and Louis Hertham, with it following a disillusioned evangelical minister who decides to participate in a documentary following his final exorcism, while also exposing the truth and fraud of the ministry. Now, what we learn is that a lot of these exorcisms are fake, and Cotton Marcus corrupts people's minds into believing they are possessed in order to perform these fake exorcisms. However, things take a turn when he heads to a farm in Louisiana, where a young girl, Nell, has been disemboweling livestock. So Cotton pays a visit along with his camera crew and quickly has his lack of faith seriously tested. The demon in this movie is truly terrifying, possessing the body of Nell and having her do unspeakable things, contorting her body and breaking her bones. It's a horrific ordeal that ends with an even more shocking ending that I won't spoil for those who haven't seen it. Just watch it, but remember, don't check out the sequel. It's shockingly bad. Coming in at number 3, we have The Possession. This was a truly terrifying horror movie that I often forget exists. Let's change that. Released in 2012 and directed by Ol Bernadel, The Possession stars the likes of Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Kira Sedgwick, Natasha Callis, and Madison Davenport, with it being produced by Sam Raimi. Back again. The movie follows Emily, who at a yard sale comes across an antique box and convinces her father to buy it for her. However, Emily soon becomes more and more obsessed with the box and starts to exhibit signs of possession. She begins to act violent and is charged with supernatural powers. It's absolutely terrifying. Now, the movie is somewhat based on true events. In 2003, a business owner named Kevin Manis auctioned a wine cabinet on eBay. With the listing, he included a description claiming the cabinet was previously owned by a Holocaust survivor who said it contained contained a malicious spirit of a Dybbuk. A Dybbuk is a malicious possessing spirit believed to be a dislocated soul of a deceased person. The box ultimately became something of an internet legend, with it then being turned into The Possession after the rights to the story was sold. As of right now, Zach Bagans owns and displays the box in his museum. Also, funny story, Post Malone claimed he had a period of bad luck after coming in contact with the haunted box. Coming in at number 2, we have Henry Desjardins, The Taking of Deborah Logan. I forgot this movie even existed until now, and I'm so happy I remembered it. Released in 2014 and directed by Adam Robital, The Taking of Deborah Logan is a found footage horror starring the likes of Jill Larson, Anne Ramsey, and Michelle Ang. The movie is set in Virginia and tells the story of a documentary crew making a movie about a woman, Deborah, with Alzheimer's. However, they soon uncover something sinister about her while documenting her story. The movie soon starts to compare the symptoms of Alzheimer's with possession, with Deborah's behavior becoming increasingly more bizarre and disturbing. She wanders the house at night, levitates onto the kitchen counters, and even operates an old switchboard in the dark, speaking in French and talking about sacrifices and snakes. Creepy. It's here that they notice the line for 337 keeps ringing, with it formerly belonging to a local physician named Henry Desjardins, who disappeared after a series of ritualistic murders. We soon find out that Deborah killed Henry after he tried to use her daughter Sarah in one of his rituals. He is the one now possessing Deborah and using her as a vessel to sacrifice others and finish what he started. Absolutely terrifying. Now, I won't spoil the ending for those who haven't seen it, but the film is a lot, with one scene showing Deborah unhinging her jaw and trying to swallow a victim whole. Gross. And finally, in at number 1, we have Lipstick Face Demon from Insidious. Hailing from Insidious, this Lipstick Face Demon is arguably one of the scariest entities to appear in a horror movie, with his infamous dinner tables jump scare terrifying viewers for years to come. Released in 2010 and directed by James Wan, Insidious stars the likes of Patrick Wilson, Rose Byrne, and Barbara Hershey, with it following a couple whose son enters a comatose state and in turn becomes a vessel for violent and malevolent entities who are seeking entry into the mortal realm to wreak havoc. However, we soon learn that the son Dalton is not in a coma, but has the ability to astral travel, and has been unknowingly doing it while he sleeps, with Dalton likely believing he is dreaming. Unfortunately for Dalton, he traveled a little too far, ending up in a purgatory realm called the Further, and is trapped there by a terrifying demon, the Lipstick Face Demon, also known as the man with fire on his face. It is in the Further that we get a good look at the Lipstick Face Demon, and although he never speaks, he is able to communicate through dreams, with the grandmother recalling her encounter with him, stating, I quote, "I went into Dalton's room, there was something in there with him. It was standing there in the corner. I asked, 'Who are you?' and it said it was a visitor. I said, 'What do you want?' It said Dalton. I can still hear the voice." It is right after she utters those final words that we see the demon pop up behind Patrick Wilson in a terrifying jump scare moment. The demon has a red face and is muscular with black skin, fur, legs, and cloven hoofs with a devil's tail. The demon keeps Dalton chained up in the Further while he files his nails and plays with his marionettes. Very creepy indeed. Such a specific fetish. Marionettes. Coming in at number 5, we have Azazel from Fallen. Fallen plays out like a psychological crime thriller, yet manages to be a demon horror movie all at the same time. A tough feat, that's for sure. Released in 1998 and directed by Gregory Hoblit, Fallen stars Denzel Washington as a Philadelphia detective, John Hobbs, who is investigating occult murders committed by a supposed copycat killer, with the OG killer sitting on death row. Now, while investigating the copycat murders, Hobbs stumbles across many demonic books, as well as the name Azazel, which is written on the wall of an abandoned home. Azazel is of course a demon who was once an angel before he fell, and he turns out to be the main antagonist of the movie. He is a powerful demon capable of possessing people simply through touch, and in one scene hops from person to person in a matter of seconds, with the only telling sign being a song his victims seem to sing when possessed. His mere existence on the mortal realm is to wreak havoc among humankind, and above all else he loves tormenting and ruining the lives of those he is incapable of possessing, one of those people being Detective Hobbs. His modus operandi is to possess beings, commit a series of crimes, and then frame these people for his crimes. Now, Azazel does have a fear though. He fears death, which is shown in the final moments of the movie, resulting in an epic conclusion to a truly effective movie. Before we jump into number 4, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, it really helps us out a lot. Coming in at number 4, we have Session 9. Now, Session 9 is a bit of a curveball on our list list considering it's not an outright demon movie. It's definitely one that can be left up to viewer interpretation. You get to decide what went on. Was it all in the mind of the protagonist, or was something sinister at play? Released in 2001 and directed by Brad Anderson, Session 9 is a psychological horror movie that follows an asbestos abatement crew who begin to experience strange goings-on while working inside of an abandoned mental asylum. While the crew clean up the asylum, it is paralleled with a former patient's regression tapes, which prove to be one of the most terrifying elements of the movie. Now, the crew need to be in and out, with them being required to get the job done within 2 weeks. However, nothing goes according to plan once inside of the asylum, with them all branching off and facing their own fears alone. And soon, the men begin to disappear one by one, losing their minds in the process. Does the asylum house something demonic, or is the isolation affecting the minds of the crew? Are the regression sessions a warning? This is what makes the movie so effective. It is so simple. A small group of actors, one location, and a truly creepy story. It proves that simple is often better when it comes to horror, and this is shown through even the simple act of one character listening to tape recordings. Honestly, the voices on these tapes creep me out even today. Session 9 sparks a conversation, and that's what makes the movie so damn good. Honestly, the first time I watched the film, I was paralyzed in fear. It truly terrified me. Since then, I think I've probably seen the movie one time. After that, it's a tough watch because of how frightening it is. It burrows right under your skin. Also, don't yell at me. I know outright, there's no demon, but there might be. Okay. Clearly, I didn't understand the assignment that I gave myself when I got to this number. I just picked a random movie. I gave myself the list. And then I didn't even pick a demon, I picked a movie that could potentially have a demon, but we never see anything, and it's left up to viewer interpretation. Anyway, don't yell at me. That's what you get and you're gonna like it, okay? Coming in at number 3, we have Jeepers Creepers. The Creeper from Jeepers Creepers is a demonic villain that we just don't get to talk about enough. Let's change that. Released in 2001 and directed by Victor Salva, a terrible human being by all means, but we won't discuss that. The movie stars the likes of Gina Phillips and Justin Long, with it following siblings Trish and Derry on a road trip home as they are relentlessly pursued by the Creeper, a demonic serial killer. Now, the Creeper appears in Jeepers Creepers and the subsequent sequels, with it being an ancient demon who seeks human organs to replace its own damaged ones, with it hunting for 23 days every 23rd spring. The origin of the Creeper is never elaborated on in detail, but that doesn't make him any less terrifying. In appearance, he is very domineering, with a masculine and muscular physique covered in thick green scales. However, his most terrifying feature has to be the webbed appendages that display whenever he is threatened, almost like an insect or even something out of Jurassic Park. He also has a set of bat-like wings that fold against his back, hiding under his large coat. This demon is incredibly powerful, being able to regenerate any part of his body by consuming a similar part from a human victim, which in turn has allowed him to survive for centuries. He also possesses a third nostril that allows him to sniff out specific organs. He can also smell these organs when the human victim is in a state of fear. So if you have no fear, you may be able to survive this demon. To be honest, if it were me, I would just hide for 23 days and hope he doesn't find my organs, or want them. I mean, they're kind of damaged. I drink a lot and I used to smoke very heavily. Mine are broken. You don't need mine, I need some. Coming in at number 2, we have Succubus from Jennifer's Body. We've discussed Jennifer's Body a handful of times on this channel fairly recently, with me constantly defending the movie and the negative backlash it received. Although that all seems to be fading these days, with many people realizing that Jennifer's Body was way ahead of its time, with it now being something of a cult classic. Released in 2009 and starring Megan Fox as Jennifer, the movie tells the story of a young girl who is kidnapped by a band to be used in a ritual as a sacrifice to the devil in order for them to be successful. However, the ritual doesn't go according to plan, with one key element being missing, which I won't ruin for all of you yet. But instead of dying, Jennifer transforms into a succubus, a demon that feeds on men after seducing them. Jennifer's best friend Needy is then left to pick up the pieces, attempt to help her friend and understand their new relationship. Now, as shown in the movie, succubus are incredibly powerful, with them possessing enhanced strength, superhuman speed, immortality, healing factor, infectious bite, seduction, and psychic link. It is incredibly difficult to defeat a succubus, however there are ways to go about it as seen in the movie. Firstly, a succubus becomes weakened by lack of food as it prevents them from healing. They can also be destroyed by being impaled in the heart or having their heart ripped out. Needy of course learns this the hard way at the end of the movie when she's forced to engage in an epic standoff against Jennifer. Also, if you enjoy Succubus, you should watch the show Lost Girl. That's a great succubus. Anna Silk, chef's kiss. 10 out of 10. I'd like to chef's kiss her face. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have Paymen from Hereditary. Now, I'm aware we've discussed Hereditary many times in the past on this channel, and while the movie divides many, I think it's safe to say that Paymen is a terrifying demon that deserves the number 1 spot on our list. Released in 2018 and directed by Ari Aster, Hereditary follows a family in the throes of grief following the death of their strange grandmother, who it turns out was in cahoots with Satan, well, was in a satanic cult of sorts that were hell-bent on summoning Paymen, and they did just that, with the evil demon residing inside Charlie, the granddaughter, with her acting very strangely, with it all coming to a head one night when she's in a car with her brother, hurtling down the road after having an allergic reaction at a party. Of course, for those who have seen the movie, you know exactly what happens next, but for those who haven't seen it, I won't spoil the moment, even though I usually spoil everything. What I can say is that Paymen moves on to yet another host, and the damage and pain he inflicts upon the family is immense. From a levitating form with a wire through their neck to a person on fire, Paymen has the characters perform horrific acts with them lacking free will completely. Now, Paymen is one of the great kings of hell, with him possessing many worshippers in the mortal realm, with him granting them wealth and knowledge, hence why so many wish to summon him. But don't do it. Don't.